Hello and welcome. Today we've got Mel Carmine, and today we are going to be discussing the quantum financial reset. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and Mel can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Mel, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
Nicholas, it's an absolute pleasure. I can't even believe that I think this is like a dream of sort, I got to give some props to Joe Rosati for hooking me up, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be here at all. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, buddy. He's one of our admins, by the way, in our Telegram groups. Listen, the quantum financial system, the quantum financial reset, not the global reset, but the one the globalists want, has been in play for some time. What I mean by that is we're now experiencing some serious market manipulation, and there are speculation. Nobody really knows for sure. Nobody has the ultimate crystal ball or the looking glass where we can look into the future and know exactly what's going to happen. But a lot of people out there saying it's going to go down to zero. They're going to reset everything, and out of the ashes will rise the phoenix, which is XRP, Ripple, et cetera. You know what I mean? The lawsuit is all kabuki theater. We already proved that in spades, that the lawsuit was settled. And when I'm actually recording the video too, guys, so I'm going to leave the video in the top left-hand corner. We prove it in spades in the sense that we went back in the Wayback Machine with Emily, and we have documentation, not conversation, that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the lawsuit was settled. So why the kabuki theater? Why is it still playing out in the public eye? Is because they are not ready yet, as far as I'm concerned. Would you agree with that?
I'll be honest with you. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to lots of people, and I'm learning. It's very confusing. But Mel, before we get into that, I know there's people on my platform who are watching for the first time, and I want you to explain what the financial reset is, summarize it on a very basic level, and also digital currency. And then we can go into the lawsuits, and we can go into Ripple and lobster wallets and what they're going to be backed by and what's going to happen and all of that. What do you think about that?
Well, the quantum financial reset was started a long time ago, and I'll make the story as short as I can for your audience specifically, because your audience is probably part of the masses that are not here yet. There's like 0.00, there's like 6 zeros and a 1% of the world's population is here. We're waiting for the masses. So there's a guy by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, AKA David Schwartz. He actually patented blockchain technology back in 1988, correct? So the problem was the internet was not high-speed internet. We're still on dial-up. There's a problem. So fast forward year 2000, he's working for who? DARPA. Fast forward to 2008, what happened? The housing bubble comes crashing down. And in 2009, what happens? Bitcoin is born. Any correlation there? So I believe they created Bitcoin with the intent of being able to move money around the world, except proof of work doesn't work. It's expensive. It's slow. The Lightning Network doesn't work. People are waiting, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, sometimes 2, 3 days to get their money. They're moving 1.5 Bitcoins, and they're paying $5,000, $6,000 to move a couple of Bitcoins. Ridiculous. So with that, they had to go back to the drawing board. So AKA Satoshi Nakamoto, who was also the CTO of who? XRP Ripple, had to go back to the drawing board and create the new and improved 5.0 on steroids, the new Bitcoin, which is called XRP. I understand the price is, 52 cents this morning. I understand, that Bitcoin's 30,000. They look like it's like David and Goliath, right? But the reality is that's a distraction. They're going to take that thing down to zero when the American people and the people of the world find out the nefarious activities that took place with Bitcoin, without mentioning any specifics because we don't want to get shut down, okay? And also Ethereum, they're going to be shocked. And who's going to take over is going to be Spark, Flare, okay, which is being funded by who? Ripple, Garlinghouse, et cetera. And obviously David Schwartz, Satoshi Nakamoto, AKA, is behind that project as well. So that's going to take over what? The smart contracts. And who's taking over the movement of all the money on earth in the new world that we're going into? The old world was 5 quadrillion a year being moved. In the new world, it's going to be a lot bigger. Why? Because you got the Zims, you got the Dongs, you got the Bolivar, you got all of this rainbow currency that's coming, and you got the lobster. And everything's got to move through what? Everything's got to move through the XRP system. So we're talking probably multiple times 5 quadrillion old world, because we're going into a new world, right? Mm-hmm. So XRP has to be able to be the value of that liquidity pool. Mm-hmm. Whether it's 5 quadrillion or 50 quadrillion, it doesn't matter. It has to equal that liquidity pool in order to move all of the money. When people wrap their minds around this and understand how big it truly is, there is no question. See, listen, when I was studying this, Nicholas, and I started to look at the Army 1.0, which I like to call them, and they're still stuck on Klaus Schwab. They're still stuck on, the lawsuit. They're still stuck on all of this stuff, because if they found out about the video that I'm going to leave here, they would really have a problem reporting anything, because there's nothing left to report. We're just waiting around. This is basically a buying, they're buying time to let the serve the wine, and we don't serve the wine until it's time, as they say, right? That's all this is. So we're waiting for that to happen. And so they keep going on that same song, because why? Because they've built a base of 150,000, 180,000, some of them over 250,000 people following them on YouTube, and they're monetized because they don't talk about anything. We mix it up. We talk a little bit about the 17th letter in the alphabet. We talk a little bit about the low-lying satellites. We talk about the fact that the nodes reside on the satellites. We talk about a lot of things. Our song is at least 17 dots, if not more. So it's a very difficult song to sing. So if you do come into the movie theater, most, XRP Army 1.0 is going to get discouraged. Why? Because it's not that easy to connect all these dots. So when I started to realize about 3.5 years ago, when I started doing some deep dives on Jassara and Asara, and realized that, wait a minute, there's 2 players on this field. And it was clear that one player, the Jassara and Asara player, was killing it. And these guys are bleeding profusely. I said, wait a minute. That's when I decided, when the dust settled, is when I physically launched my YouTube channel. And here we are, 4.5 months later. 21,000 subscribers. I got about 25,000 people following me on Telegram. We got about 4,500 people following me on Rumble, and we're growing in leaps and bounds. You know what I mean? Obviously, we must be resonating with somebody out there.
Of course. So moving forward, you're saying that all of the currencies around the world, so we have the pound in the UK, you guys over in the States have the dollar. Over in Europe, they have the euro. Are you suggesting that we will all have our own unique digital currency that will represent that country's currency?
Yes, for a little while, because see, there's something else in play here. You have to understand. Most people don't understand the game, not because they're not here yet. They haven't even looked at the game yet. So how do they know how the game even works if they haven't even looked at it? So like I said, it's a very difficult thing to go through, but there's a transition and you don't have a choice, because we're not going back to the old system. But to answer your question, Nicholas, yes, each country is going to have their own digital currency. And yes, we're going to transact in that digital currency until when? Until the point where people understand that, wait a minute, because, you can invest a couple of $1,000s in this asset, which I believe is going to go north of $50,000, $100,000. And that's a conservative number, because we don't know what the movement of money, the total movement of money in the new world is going to be. We don't know what that figure is. We know it's going to be greater than the 5 quadrillion, but we don't know. So we know that just with a couple of $1,000 investment in XRP, as long as you have the staying power, you're going to become fabulously wealthy. Not financial advice, but that's what we feel. This is our journey. We're documenting. If you follow us and we become wealthy, you become wealthy by default, correct? So with that said, once people have, for example, let's say if you have $100 million worth of XRP because it's reached its maximum level, or $500 million worth of XRP, and you're able to stake that money. Staking is nothing more than a fancy word for like when we used to go to the bank years ago and they used to give you a CD, okay, and say, hey, park your money here for 18 months. We're going to give you 7.2% interest, blah, blah, blah. You're not allowed to touch the money, and there's penalties if you move it out, et cetera. In the new world, what's going to end up happening, we become the banks. In other words, we're able to show that, say, hey, I'm worth 150 million. I'm worth 1.5 billion. I'm worth 1.2 billion. The money never leaves your wallet, which means it's safe. But because you did that, you create something called leverage. That leverage allows the new banks, which are going to be most likely the exchanges, okay, to lend money out into the industry for businesses, for homes, for whatever. So we become the new banks, and we're getting, say, 0.5% interest on $100 million is a lot of money that you can't even spend if you live in an above average lifestyle. Okay. So if you're getting 0.5% every single month on your 100 million, you can't spend that, but you could use that money peer to peer. In other words, if you have a dry cleaners, Nicholas, and I came into your dry cleaners and I say, well, I like the way, Nicholas does dry cleaning. I'm going to pay him. And you're accepting, let's say, Casino Coin, or you're accepting XRP, or you're accepting VeChain. I could pay you with the interest. Now I could choose to get my interest paid in whatever denomination I want, whether I want VeChain or whether I want it in XRP or whether I want it in XLM or XDC. And if you accept those denominations, you could put your QR code, which is attached to what? Your receiving key, your receiving wallet key. I just scan that. I go in, okay, I got to pay, $28.95 or $28, 28 pounds and 95 pence, okay, as you guys say, right? For dry cleaning services, I hit send, instantaneously, you get your money. What happens to central bank digital currency with that when that cat comes out of the bag? You got a problem, because when everybody knows that these things work perfectly well peer to peer, I have a problem unless somebody can explain it to me. Maybe there's something that I'm not understanding, but I'm a pretty sharp cookie, okay? Because if I could pay you direct, do I need to use a central bank digital currency?
So are you saying that this new system is going to be decentralized to us like an upside down pyramid instead of the way it is now?
100%. And you know why? Because this is the reason why they're manipulating the market. Because if the bankers of the world, the banksters of the world, which my friend Jim Willie says it eloquently, okay? Jim says bankers are not good at building software, okay? Bankers are good at killing people and stealing your money. Okay, so when they decided that they were going to go off a few years back and build their own Ripple XRP, and they realized that the secret sauce is extremely difficult to do, they came back and they thought they were going to get back in the good graces. So basically, they're getting their balls fluffed by the Garlinghouse. Garlinghouse is a gangster on the inside. Like I say, he looks very non-threatening on the outside, but on the inside, he's a tiger. He's a lion. Okay, and so what I'm telling you is that basically the banks are done. Otherwise, there would be no struggle, because if the banksters of the world right now would allow the 99,000 pound gorilla to come out of the cage, correct, which is XRP, and that gorilla comes out of the cage and it is allowed to do what it's programmed to do, which is wreak havoc in a good way and allow the money to flow, and the banksters could go from being worth hundreds of millions to being multi-trillionaires, this goose would have been out of the oven a long time ago. But because they know they've been had, there hence is the struggle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So what are your views on the dinars, the dongs, and the zims? Are you do you think that everything will be in level playing field, then transitioned over to their cryptocurrency on the Lobster wallet, on digital currency within the QFS or QFR reset, as you like to call it? How do you think that's going to all transition? And do you think that the dinars and the dongs and the zims, what do you think that would, how do you think that there will be an RV?
I know there's going to be an RV. You cannot run this planet on an old system that is way antiquated. It's designed so that you are poor and under stress and sick, and and they're making money because you're sick and you're buying their drugs and they're invested in the stocks of those companies that produce those drugs, and we're all dying prematurely. You know, there's a lot of things coming out, but the reality is the game is very complicated on purpose. Right now, the average person that comes into the space is going to get confused as hell because they don't want the average Joe out there to become wealthy. That's why we decided to build this Telegram group, right? Because we make it simple, easy, stupid, because I realize I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart, right? In the sense that when I realized that what my wife had to go through to get our assets 6 years ago, 6 years will be in 8 days. May 18th will be my 6th-year anniversary of getting into this crazy space. And I didn't even want to do XRP. So when I realized how difficult it was, I said, we got to build something where we bring enough people that have 100 IQ, 110 IQ, 120 IQ, and everybody has one or two pieces of the puzzle. And together we can build a picture that can allow the transition to evolve, correct? So that's why we did what we did. But the game is going, here, the good news is this, to answer your question, Nicholas, the game is going to get very simple at some point down the road. They got to make it as simple as average person who has a bank account right now, they can log into their account and ACH somebody some money and do whatever it is they do with their present bank account. That's going to happen, I believe, with a company called PolySign. PolySign, again, is a company that I'm speculating because there's no information, but because this lawsuit, at least in the public eye, still looks like it's going on when it's really not. They're going to simplify things and custodianship to the sense of what I'm speculating to be something in the realm of where you're going to be able to park your, I hate to call it cryptocurrency. It's not called cryptocurrency, guys, digital assets. Crypto is what they want for you. They want you in the crypt. They want you in the ground. They want you dead. Okay. So let's stop calling it what it isn't. And let's start calling it what it is. It's digital assets. Okay. So when you can park your digital assets with a company like, PolySign, for example, and you have to go through a few steps where your money is hacker proof, where maybe there's an eye retina scan, maybe there's a thumbprint, maybe they'll call you on your cell phone on top of it to make sure that it's you. And they're going to send you a series of like 5-6 numbers, and you punch in those 5-6 numbers to verify it's you, which is, so let's say, the final step. Voila, you're into your account, and it's going to be very easy, simple. Right now, it's convoluted specifically to keep everybody dazed and confused.
So what rates are you getting for the dinars and the dongs?
I heard as much as 1-to-1 on the dinars. Now, I don't have any way of knowing, but I know some people that are very into that world that believe wholeheartedly that they're going to get 1-to-1. I hope they're right. I mean, even if they're 10% right, I don't own a lot of that stuff. I was gifted by a good friend in Long Island a $100 trillion note in the Zims and a $500 million note in the Boulevard. But I don't own any other ones other than the ones that were gifted to us, because we're doing a lot of great stuff for humanity. In other words, we're doing humanitarian work before it's even required, because we know the transition is here. So we're transitioning prior to the fact, because our Telegram group, what we're doing for people is humanitarian in nature. But, look, if you own 100 trillion of something and it's only worth a penny, 100 trillion pennies, you're not doing too darn bad. So look, I don't want to get my hopes up. I always like to, keep my feet firmly on the ground. If it goes to, 2 pennies, I'll be very happy. Okay.
Well, I want to let the viewers know that I will leave a link below for anybody who wants to purchase Zims, because I understand they are very difficult to find, especially with those A's, the AA ones, because those are the ones that we need to redeem them as government bonds, which will be released hopefully for humanitarian projects. What are your views about the humanitarian projects and the Zims, Mel?
Well, these things are going to be attached to humanitarian projects. They're not just going to give you the money. Everything's going to go quantum in the sense that this quantum computer can read your intent, and it will know what you plan on doing. So if you're a very selfish person, a very, a me person, your stuff can be shut off at any time. And you will find out that this is true. I understand this is technology that most people cannot wrap their minds around, and I have a difficult time myself. Don't get me wrong. But there's too many people that are a lot smarter than me that are saying this, and it's purely speculation, but I tend to believe that there might have some truth to it. So, my intent and my whole plan is already in play. Number one. Number two is going to be a dog sanctuary. So yeah, you're going to have to be tied into a humanitarian. This is not right now, just to give you an example, Nicholas, we got 7,200 multi-billionaires around the world. That's the exact number. You can Google it. Okay. And it's all about me, me, me. It's all about them having, 700-foot yachts. It's all about them having a collection of helicopters and homes and jet aircraft and art and all kinds of stuff that they don't really need. Meanwhile, the entire world is pretty much starving and having some troubles, et cetera. But the reality is, with this new system, which I believe can create literally as much as 100 million, wealthy, very wealthy people, millionaires, billionaires, 100 millionaires, multi-billionaires, et cetera. The old system, what they do is the people, the multi-billionaires of the old world, let's call them that for a better of a lack term, they would just basically open up a bunch of 501c3s and hide their money into these 501c3s. They're basically taking the money out of their left pocket, putting it in their right pocket, correct? Mm-hmm. And what happens? They pay nobody. They don't even pay the government. Most of these billionaires pay less taxes than an English teacher that teaches high school English. Fact. Okay. So the new system is going to be tailored around what? Humanitarian projects. We've got to put that money to work to better humanity. So can you imagine having 100 million multi-billionaires, for example, new multi-billionaires versus 7,200 multi-billionaires right now who are greedy as you know what, okay? And we have to move that money towards humanitarian projects. What an incredible world this is going to be.
Absolutely. So, when I've done a lot of research on other galaxies and planets and other races who are extraterrestrials, if you like, and there are good and there are bad. And I've interviewed and listened to Alex Collier, who has firsthand experience with the Andromedans. And he says that they are telepathic. Now, when we look at the galaxy and the universe as a whole, because we are such low density, we are eventually, without us being able to stop here, we have to evolve. And maybe we are also evolving to a telepathic, level where we are being introduced to telepathic technology. Is that what you think that the QFS or the digital, the new system will be made out of?
100 trillion%. Is it going to happen tomorrow? No. But that's exactly where we're at. We have to literally get rid of all of the poisons in our body. We have to go quantum. In order to go quantum, we got to go inside the med beds. The med beds are very real, folks. They've been selling it to you in the movies as science fiction when all along it was science fact, okay? And I've known about this from watching Alex Collier and George Green. And George Green unfortunately passed away. And I actually did one short interview with Alex and Cynthia, who is about to introduce the med beds. And hopefully with a little bit of luck, Cynthia, I'm coming for you. So with a little bit of luck, she's ready to do the live demo here in the next few months. And so we could put everything to rest, because there's a lot of controversy, as you can imagine, just like the lobster. We don't make any bones about the lobster. Excuse me. Sorry for just sort of jumping around, but I got to make it a point. Mm-hmm. First of all, we're full disclosure. We tell people that 95% of all of the assets right now, because the regulations are not in place. The regulation for the lobster is going to be what? Protocol 19, Protocol 20. And until those things are in place, it's going to be the wild, wild west. And if you don't go in there with a guide like Emily or my wife or this gentleman from Gibraltar, who I'm speaking with, who's now been training for the last couple of months to become a coach inside the lobster, you're going to get crushed like a grape. Okay. And so we're telling you 95% of the assets are scams. Okay. You understand, Nicholas, that there was a documentary called The Great Awakening from the Bonfire Guy. I'm sure you've probably seen it, haven't you?
I can't remember. I've seen so many different ones.
If you're a video junkie like me and you're an information junkie like me, you've probably seen it, but let me remind you, it was about Trump traveling around the world, meeting with all these corporations and leaders of the world. basically throwing down a bunch of files on the table saying, we got you by the round ones. We got you by the cojones. Okay. And we know everything that you did. Now capitulate and sell all of your assets into the lobster. And by the way, there's a bus out there waiting with some armed guards, heavily armed guards, waiting to take you down to a barge that's going to take you down the Castro territory.
Okay.
That's the short and skinny of it. You understand?
It sounds familiar when he went around the countries and asked them to capitulate to him.
He even met with your queen when he walked in front of her when people thought he was rude for doing that.
So what did you think about this video? What are you referring to?
I'm saying that Trump has everything to do with the lobster. Everything.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that Elon Musk is involved as well, I think.
100,000%.
And also Edward Snowden and Michelle Fielding has been talking about this for 2 years now. And only now they have come into the picture.
No question about it. No question about it. Things are, listen, we could have a podcast, Nicholas, for 5 hours and we will not even, reach the tip of the iceberg. Okay.
Absolutely.
There's so much to discuss. There's so many moving parts. But see, I love the movie I'm in. I've been watching this movie for years. 30 years I've been at this. I know I look great for my age, but I'm a little older than you are.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 59.
No, you're not 59.
Yeah, swear to God. September 9th, I'll be 59. I'm headed for 60.
No.
Yeah.
You're having me on.
I'm serious. But I cheat a little bit. I use Retin-A. I have some special oils that I order from the internet. I like to take care of my skin a little bit. I got
look
more.
like 26 to me.
I wish. But thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Wow, I'm a bit shocked of your age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you take off your glasses just to have a look at your eyes?
Absolutely. I wear these because of the blue screen.
Yeah.
The blue screen on
you look so much more younger than 59.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. A lot of people say that.
Can the viewers leave their comments below? Because I just want to make sure that I'm not the only one going crazy here.
No, listen, your eyesight is fine. You don't need to go see an eye doctor. Okay.
Oh, I thank you very much. if it works in your favor.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want to go on to a few digital currencies I want to talk to you about. Now, XLM, I want to confirm, XLM is Stellar.
Yes.
What's XDC /H-bar?
Okay. XDC is also part of the ISO family. It's going to be a monetary system that is going to be spendable. It's going to be backed by copper, or copper is going to be digitized from XDC because, see, these metals by themselves don't do nothing. They're not a technology. All the inventory of the metals is going to be put on the blockchain. Why? Because nobody can steal, nobody can rob the blockchain because it is absolutely bulletproof. Right. And again, this is the reason why there is such a lashback, because this old cabal from the old world was very used to robbing and stealing and pillaging. And now they can't do it anymore. Their goose is cooked. This game is about to come to an end. OK, so XDC, I made the joke. I'll take full credit for this. I said that XRP and XLM, where XRP being the king, XLM being the queen, got together. They had some pretty wild times, okay, in bed, and out comes XDC. XDC is the son of the queen and the king.
Got it. So an XLM will be backed by silver, I believe, and then we have the XRP that would be backed by gold, and then we have the son from the king and the queen of copper.
Right. Correct. Now, let me tell you this. I'm the first one that I believe has said this, and I've got even people like Emily, who's highly intellectual, very, very smart, scratching their heads saying, you might be right. I said, it's not going to be XRP that's going to be backed by gold. It's not going to be XLM that's going to be backed by silver. It's not going to be XDC that's going to be backed by copper. It's going to be that these asset classes are going to absolutely digitize those assets. In other words, the gold is going to be backed by XRP. And if you understand how much gold was confiscated at the Vatican, that was 1,500 kilometers long, 30 meters wide, 30 meters high, packed with bullion, and if you understand how much gold is still left in the Philippines, which dwarfs that, and if you understand that my reports, at least, are telling me, people that I've heard that are pretty close to some sources, okay, are saying that that gold is still being moved today. That gold is still being flown today. Where is it being flown into? It's being flown into Cheyenne Mountain, the most secure place in the world. Makes Fort Knox look like a Swiss cheese sandwich. Okay, so when you take into account how much gold they have enough gold, technically speaking, and this is just purely hyperbole, speculation on my part, okay, probably to make every man and woman and child and maybe even your pet a multi-billionaire, at least 2 or 3 times over on Earth. And they would still have some left over.
Of course. So can you explain also what's /point IOTA Iridium ISO 20022?
Well, you're talking about the ISOs?
Yeah, I have no. Yes.
Yeah, these are the asset classes that are being backed, that are being that are not being backed, but being able to back the gold and silver, which gives it the value. Okay, so these are the ones that everybody's saying to invest in, because these are the ones that are going to be part of the quantum financial system that sit on the low-lying satellites, on the nodes, et cetera. All of these assets, Nicholas, with all due respect, I believe that Brad Garlinghouse is correct. I think I don't know about 99%, but I bet you about 98.99% are going to go away. I think when it's all said and done, you might have 100 to maybe 150 of these assets that are still going to be around, because it's all based on utility. You see, Bitcoin has no utility. If you were to go into court of law, right, and you said, the judge says, we want to know what Bitcoin does. And you said, well, we are a store of value. That's not a functionality. That doesn't fix diddly squat. Well, we're scarce. That's not a functionality either. So let's put that in a nice little neat box. Let's move it over here to the left-hand side. What else do you guys do? Oh, that's it. You're in a lot of trouble. You're expensive. People have to wait forever. With the amount of one transaction, you could run your household. I don't know how big your house is, but if you have an average middle income home, 3-bedroom, 2-car garage with 2.5 bath, you could run your house based on one transaction for an entire 6 weeks on one transaction. So it's dirty on many aspects, no pun intended. So the reality is that system is going to go away. It has to go away because it's a Model T Ford. It doesn't matter that you put, a 750 horsepower engine on the Model T Ford with, 26 4-barrel Harley carburetors on it, and you could do 299 miles down the track in a quarter mile. The reality is that by the time you get down the track, because the infrastructure is not there, there'll be pieces of metal flying off of that thing because it wasn't built for that. The technology is old. Technology is going to move. Okay, we're scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second. We, meaning XRP. That's already been proven mathematically, and there's irrefutable, irrevocable evidence of this. So when you take that into account, and we can run circles, like Michael Arrington from Arrington Capital moves $50 million about 3 years ago. It took exactly 2.8 seconds, under 3 seconds, and it cost the guy 30 cents. Who else can step in the ring with XRP? Pretty much besides almost nobody. Maybe XLM. I'm sure XLM, because it's sort of almost a carbon copy of, XRP, is going to be able to do some grandiose things as well. And we don't know yet what it's scalable to. That cat is not out of the bag, but I'm sure at the right time, because that is one entity, that is one enterprise that is very secretive in what they do. Obviously, because, we are the king, or we're going to be the king of everything, XRP. There's a lot of information out there for the people who want to learn the information. Not everybody wants to learn the information. That's the biggest struggle we're having. See, if I could take my chip, right, and make a duplicate and put it into everyone's head, the quantum financial system would be here. But it's a consciousness. We gotta all want this. See, you're not going to get Jasara and Asara because it's the right thing to do. No, it's got to do with the great awakening. It's got to do with raising your level of vibration in order to receive. And most people don't understand this. If they would just say, you know what, I'm going to trust the Victoria Reynolds of the world, and I'm going to trust the Emilys of the world, and I'm going to trust the Mels of the world. I'm going to just, on blind faith, I'm going to raise my vibrational level. Jasara and Asara will be here first thing tomorrow morning, 9:00 a.m. Just like that.
So can you explain, have you heard of what lunarone is?
I'm sorry?
Lunarone.
I don't know what that is. I'm not a technical guy. I am more of I understand things on a theoretical level, but when it comes to technicality, that's where my wife comes in. If I had to do both, there is no way I have enough hours in a day to do both.
Have you heard of Nick Fleming?
I have.
Yeah. So what do you think about the things that he's talking about the lobster and the RV and the Zims and all of this thing happening? And also, if you could add, when do you think, and I know it's a very silly, ambiguous question, but when do you think this will all happen? Because the viewers are really thinking, we want to know when this is going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nicholas, that's a great question. And I will tell you, I will answer that question this way. It's been happening. This is not one switch. This is multiple switch. This is, running the two systems side by side for the last 3 years. This is testing and retesting and make sure that there's enough redundancy in place. And that there's, when they make the final switch, which I believe we're close, could be the end of this year, or it could be the end of next year. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that, but you got to think with your feet on the ground, folks. This is a big deal. We're changing the entire global financial system. We're not talking about making hamburgers or pizzas here. This is a very, very big deal. Okay. Has to do with a lot of computers and a lot of very smart people. And we are on the outside looking in, trying to figure out what's going on. So this is not going to be like, boom, tomorrow it's done. No. But I'll tell you what, it's funny. I had a friend of mine call me yesterday, Dexter, and Dexter said, "You're not going to believe this." He said, "You've been right all along." I said, "Tell me." He said, "2 of my friends just got their mortgages forgiven." I said, "Could you do me a favor, Dexter? Could you get them on a podcast with me?" He goes, "That's the problem." He goes, "They're camera shy. They won't come on." But this is happening. It's happening in my room. People showing receipts. My friend Gilla, who's a dentist over in Long Island. Okay. She said to me the other day, she said, "Hey, Mel, you're not going to believe this. I've been in business for 11 years. The government's never sent me money back." So obviously there's some program that Trump left behind because of this COVID thing, right? That happened, correct? Without getting too specific. And so there is a program that's called the ERC. I forget what it stands for, Employee Retention something. And it's a tax program that sort of gives money back to W-2s and W-3, if you have W-2 or W-3 employees. And she got a check back for $34,000 and change. She actually sent me a copy of the government check. Right? This has never happened to her before.
No.
Why is this happening? Because it's all part of Jasara Dasara. It's a gradual thing. It's gradual. Would I be shocked now if it's completely here by the end of the year? No. Do I expect it's going to be here by the end of the year? I'm a very logical person. And my logic tells me, don't get your hopes up too high, too fast. Okay? It's going to happen. 100 trillion%. It's going to happen. But it's going to happen when they want it to happen. You and I, Nicholas, are just 2 guys trying to get a crumb. You know what I mean? You feeling me?
Absolutely.
We're not that important.
Absolutely. No, definitely. Well, it's been an honor to have you, Mel. Thank you so, so much for sharing your views. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Not really, except just be patient, stay in the room. Don't trust anybody that tells you that they're Mel Carmine. They're not me. By the way, I got more imposters and I got more clones than Kim Jong-un. I swear to you. Okay. They're all trying. And there's some people, unfortunately, not a lot of people, because they're very frustrated. The scammers realized that they just hit the Sicilian firewall, and it's very difficult to penetrate a Sicilian firewall because you cannot, outsmart me. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm talking to you scammers out there. Okay. So if you come into our room, please be very careful. If they're trying to impress you, come back in the room and be an ask hole. Ask a lot of questions. Okay. And then this way you won't get hurt. Say, hey, I just got approached by so and so and they told me this. Is this real? So simple as that. And if you could just do something that simple, the chances you getting hurt is slim and none. And we collectively, we can put these scumbags out of business.
Absolutely. Well, Mel, thank you so much. It's been a great honor, and we'll speak again very soon. And God bless you. Bye
I
bye.
appreciate it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for the opportunity.